Local City Conversations. Thank you for joining me for our conversation today. Thank you to our sponsor, Hearst Limontes, an Indiana law firm representing injured Hoosiers and their families for over 50 years. I'd like to thank everyone for their continued support. I am here with my friend, Kate Franke from Broadwing Legal. Kate, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Kate is, as I said, she's a friend of mine. We've known each other for a long time. She's a fellow trial lawyer who, like me, helps people seek justice. And you might remember Kate from one of our earlier episodes, episode number 5, where we talked to her about her career and litigating cases here in Indiana. So we already know a little bit about you, but just as a refresher, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? What do you practice? Where do you practice?
Okay. So I kind of have a statewide practice with my law firm called Broadwing Legal. I am a solo attorney with a very good support staff behind me. And we do everything from car crashes, slip and falls, dog bites, medical malpractice. We do quite a bit of medical malpractice, actually. And, everything along that personal injury, single event type of stuff.
Yeah. And I've sent you cases.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a referral relationship, and it's always great to see you here. And you are, like I said, an excellent lawyer.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
But today, we're not here to talk about your lawyering skills necessarily, even though I think you have to apply them to the topic today. Today, we're here to talk about focus groups.
Yes.
And more specifically, affordable focus groups.
Yeah, that's something that's really important in the personal injury space for sure. And I'm seeing a growing need for that across the people that I've been working with. So yeah, I'm really glad just to get to talk to you about spreading that message of you can do it yourself if you want to.
Yeah. And we've done that before using, I think it was Craigslist we used before.
Yeah, we Craigslist, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, those sorts of things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The first one we did, and the reason I'm saying that is this wasn't one that we did with you necessarily, but the first one that we did that was like this, where we didn't use an independent person, we did it affordably. I don't think Facebook was running those ads yet, really, or Instagram.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Craigslist was like the place to go.
The place, yeah, it was.
Yeah. And it's still there.
Still good sports.
Yeah, it is. So, let's talk a little bit about focus groups and specifically affordable focus groups. So, can you tell me a little bit about your background and how you got into running these focus groups?
Yeah. So I actually first got interested in this because I had gone to a seminar put on by the American Association of Justice where we were actually workshopping the Parker garage door case, which ended up being millions and millions of dollar jury verdict, but very hard on the liability. So AAJ was putting on this 3-day intensive focus group. So you would take your case and you present to one focus group. You would tweak and adjust. You do another focus group. You tweak and adjust, and you do a third one. And all it was about improving, learning about your case so that you can prove your story to a potential jury. And that was such a huge help in how we actually ended up presenting that case.
Yeah.
And while we were there, the attorney that had organized it was a gentleman named Paul Scopter.
Mm-hmm.
And he sat down with me one night and was like, I do these all the time on my own. And it's not hard. We set up a Craigslist ad. We bring them into my office. We give them snacks. We pay them some money. They always find it interesting.
Yeah.
Which they do. I've never had a focus group member go, oh, that's a waste of my time. They always seem to really enjoy it. And all they have to do is show up.
Yeah.
And they will. They'll show up. So
right.
He's the one that kind of encouraged me to do that. Recommended I read a book. I think David Ball had put it together maybe.
Yeah.
On doing your own focus groups. And it just kind of grew from there. So we've been doing these since 2013 is when Lee Christie and I first started doing them on our own. And I've just continued on with that, even though I no longer work with Lee. Actually, I'm still working with Lee, helping him do focus groups.
Yeah.
But I don't work at his office anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you've worked with us, right?
Yes.
Case we just settled. And so So let's backtrack a little bit. Why do you think that focus groups are so relevant or important, especially in the personal injury realm?
They are especially important in the personal injury realm. I also think they're probably pretty important in the criminal defense realm
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Because as attorneys, we get focused in on what we think the issues are or what we think are the important things. But until you can actually hear from a jury, which you're not getting that feedback live and in court,
Right.
you're not going to know what they think is important.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing is like, you can totally think you got the best case ever and you'll go and try it and lose it. Or you'll go and send it to a focus group and go, I have to adjust.
Yes.
And it can really change how you present the case. And really, I mean, I've known attorneys that have focus group cases 10, 15 times because they were big enough cases to do that. But even if you can just do it once, you're going to get so much invaluable information.
Oh yeah. I've heard some lawyers say, especially when it comes to affordable focus groups like this, if you're going to go try a case, you should at least do one affordable online or in-person focus group.
Absolutely. I would say that too.
Yeah.
I think the other benefit of getting up and doing a focus group is it's your time as a lawyer to practice your skills.
Yes.
And especially in the realm of voir dire, jury selection, being able to talk to strangers and pull information out of them is such a skill. And you see attorneys that do it really well, and you see other attorneys that aren't doing it so well, but everyone has the ability to get to that really good level.
Yeah.
And the focus group gives you that opportunity to improve on that skill.
Yeah. So that was kind of leads into the next question. When you're organizing one of these focus groups, let's just say in person versus online. And in person, what are some of the key goals that you're trying to get to at the end of the group?
It will vary based upon the case.
Yeah.
And it will vary based upon what the attorney thinks the pain points are in their case. So a lot of times we'll have attorneys come in early and say, I don't know what my case is really about. I mean, I know I've got this going on, but I don't know really like what people are going to think about this set of facts.
Right.
And so you can go very broad and just narrow it down, do like a little bit of a funnel method and get it narrowed down to figure out what do people think are important or is important about your case versus what are the things you can maybe let go and not focus on so much.
Yeah.
And then you have other cases where liability's super clear, but you have no idea how you're going to get the damages presented or what people are going to think of the damages side of things. And especially when you have somebody that has maybe not a lot of medical bills, but is going to have a lifetime of pain.
Yeah.
Then it becomes really important because then you're learning how to make your non-economic damages really shine in a case.
Yeah.
By getting the feedback you need from your jurors.
Yeah, I think that's so important here in Indiana with the Stanley and the Patchett case law that we've got. You could have a case where medical bills are written down by 90%.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially when you are dealing with Medicare or Medicaid patients because, they're at a set rate. Yeah. And we know that a lot of times the hospitals and the doctors are not making the same money on a Medicare and Medicaid patient that they are on another patient that has private insurance or is paying out of pocket. Right. So, yeah.
You mentioned earlier the process kind of funneling down a little bit. And a lot of that, from what I saw when we did our focus group, a lot of that is kind of done on the spot.
Yeah.
As your people are discussing, right?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. So, and one of the things that I always feared, and why I'd always use someone else to run the focus group is, what are some of the complexities that I would face having to kind of run that group? And so what do you think are the most common misconceptions that people have about the cost or the complexity of running a focus group?
Um, when you're doing it yourself, there always is that kind of fear of like, am I getting too focused on how good I think my case is?
Yeah.
And doing it from trying to be as neutral as possible, or maybe even a little bit oriented towards the defense side as plaintiff's attorneys. And so I think a lot of times people want me to run and facilitate their focus groups because they want to bring that kind of a more neutral or defense oriented angle to it.
Yeah.
But I know every one of us has it in them to be a defense attorney because that's what we do. We anticipate the defenses. So I don't think anybody is unable to facilitate a focus group themselves.
Yeah.
And I think that's always one of the key things is I always give that option. I say, do you want me to facilitate it or do you want to facilitate it? And I have two prices I only use a flat fee when it comes to focus groups. I have two prices, one if I'm going to facilitate it and one if I'm not, because I obviously have to prepare more if I'm facilitating it than if I'm not. But at the end of the day, if you're wanting to do it on your own, I wouldn't be afraid to do it because it really is so much like jury selection.
Yeah.
If you keep an open mind, if you listen.
Yeah.
Listening is the key part to it. And then you take what you're getting in and follow up with that. Okay. You're going to get the gold.
And it's excellent practice for jury selection, right?
It's excellent practice for jury selection.
Especially if you draw from that county. So, for example, the case that we had was a Hamilton County case. We did an online focus group, right?
Yes.
And you drew from Hamilton County.
We only drew from Hamilton County in that case because it was a large enough county that I wasn't too worried about us getting somebody in our jury pool or a family member of somebody in our jury pool. Even though we talk about confidentiality, you can't always rely that people are going to keep things confidential. But I recently did one last week where it was going to be in a smaller conservative county.
Mm-hmm.
And so our jury pool for that focus group, and I always call it a jury pool because they are, in essence, jurors.
Yeah.
Our jury pool for that one was surrounding counties that were similar economic background makeup as the county where this case was getting tried.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about the actual process. If an attorney wants to call Broadwing Legal and talk to you a little bit about doing a focus group, tell me a little bit about kind of that process and what they can expect.
So usually I always start off the process learning a little bit about the case and specifically what stage are we at? Are we a month out from trial? Are we getting ready to file the complaint? Like, where are we in the process? Because that's going to help.
Yeah. Why is that important?
Well, so it's important because if we are, quite honestly, pre-discovery, or we have the ability to still conduct discovery, we're going to tweak the focus group a little bit more so that we can learn what information do I still need to learn.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're at your discovery deadline or past it, then we're going to be working on what can we do with the evidence that you have.
Got it.
Okay. So that really becomes kind of like the dividing line.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go back to the process then. You figure out what stage the case is in, then what's next?
So then it's kind of what are you looking for?
Okay.
Like, what are your goals as an attorney for your focus group? Sometimes we have people that just want to practice their opening statement so that they can tweak it. And so we'll set up, we've done where we did one on a Saturday, one on a Sunday, case started on Monday.
So they changed it every time?
Every time. Okay. Yeah. So they were able to tweak and adjust.
Yeah.
And that case is currently up on appeal, but it was a very large verdict. And I was very impressed with the caliber of work that was done by those attorneys on that case. And so that was a really kind of a fun experience where I wasn't facilitating it. I was just getting people in the room so that they could practice and adjust.
Yeah.
Whereas the case I was working on just recently was we still had time for discovery.
Yeah.
And we learned so much that we didn't know yet.
Yeah.
That they need to go back and find out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the case that we did recently, that was the third and last focus group that we did. Mm-hmm. And we did it right before mediation. I'm sorry, right before the mediation deadline and right before mediation. But the first focus group we did was over a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it was crazy the results that we were getting back then and what we were hearing back then versus now. That, like you said, we've been able to collect more evidence and we've been able to really focus, no pun intended, focus the case.
Yeah.
Yeah. In our efforts. So you mentioned facilitating the group versus just kind of like organizing it.
Yeah.
And that was one of the first that was one of my misconceptions, was the amount of effort that goes into finding the right people. Because you could just put out a Facebook ad and be like, $100, show up on this Zoom link.
Yeah.
And then you got Johnny over there, smoking squares or something like during the focus group.
Yeah.
So yeah. Let's talk a little bit about like kind of the background efforts and what you have to do to really just kind of put this together and make it happen.
Yeah. So fortunately, my paralegal has really taken upon herself to learn the process to go through, and really a vetting process for people that we invite to the focus group. Because we want to not have just a bunch of over 65 people there.
Right.
You don't want to have, because that's not realistic of a jury pool.
No.
You don't want to just have, people that are unemployed or are working, or stay-at-home moms that really don't have, they come during like their day shift where other people wouldn't be available because they are at their office or they're at the factory where they're working at. And so what we try to do is make sure that we're getting a good blend.
And demographics.
Demographics, absolutely. And we always try to make our demographics match the county where we're at. So, and it depends, like sometimes on the demographics of the county versus the size of the jury pool that we're looking for.
Yeah.
Are we going to be able to really fully have that demographic in there at a fair level or not?
Right.
But the nice thing is that at least with Facebook and Meta, we can adjust our ads to target certain audiences, and they have some restrictions on that, which are rightfully so. We are asking people for offering people money for their services, so they have non-discrimination in there as well, which I think is great, because quite honestly, you want the diversity.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like if you're seeing yourself getting a bunch of over 65-year-olds retirees, you're going to adjust your Facebook ad and say, hey, let's throw this more towards people in the 20 to 30 year bracket.
Yeah. Let's talk about that, recruiting the participants.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You mentioned Facebook. What else?
We use Craigslist.
Okay.
And those seem to be the two that we're mainly on.
Yeah.
Although we are exploring other social media. Like Snapchat.
That's a younger generation.
It's a younger generation. But what we know and what we're learning is that the younger generation, being the kids that grew up in COVID, the kids that have grown up in a much different political climate than older generations, view these cases differently.
Really?
They do. And so that's also important. So when you're talking about making sure you're getting that variety, it's not just variety of ages, it's variety of how we view the world.
Right. Yeah. Because anyone over 18 could be on that jury.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of younger generation, Emmanuel was on a jury for a murder case.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I've never been picked on a jury.
I've never been picked on a jury.
I feel like the kid that never got picked for kickball. Like I'm just standing on the sideline like, they're never going to pick me.
Yeah.
They're never going to pick me. It's too damn biased. Oh, well.
Yeah.
That's all right. All right. So Facebook, Instagram, right? Well, Meta, they're the same.
Meta, yeah. Any of the Meta.
You buy an ad, you boost it, right?
Uh-huh.
You kind of, and you can target that and all that stuff online. Do you find more success from Facebook versus Craigslist or?
Yeah, we do get much more success from the Meta advertising, and you do get different age levels between Facebook and Instagram. You're going to get an older crowd with Facebook. You're going to get a younger middle-aged crowd with Instagram. And so really our goal, why we're looking into Snapchat and other social media platforms is really to recruit that. We're having a harder time recruiting in that younger generation.
Yeah, that seems to be tough for a lot of people.
Yeah, but they're so important.
Yeah.
They're so important because I can think of at least 4 or 5 of my jury trials that we've had somebody 18, 19, 20 years old on it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we tried a case in October, and Chase and I, and I think there was someone on that jury that was in their 20s. So, what are some creative ways that you can incentivize participants without spending a ton of money?
Okay, so one of the best things that I learned from a very good jury consultant is do an early bird offer.
Yeah.
And the amount of people that show up just number wise, not just early, increases because of it. So you're offering an extra $50 if you're there at least 15 minutes before the start of the thing. Everybody's name gets put into a cup. At the end of it, you draw a name. That person wins the early bird.
Yeah.
And they're thrilled to win it. And it really does incentivize people to come in early. They start filling out their background questionnaires early. They're more, I always feel like they're more receptive and more excited to be there because they're not just getting paid, but there's also something a little bit there that's a bonus win or gives you that kind of mentality that, oh, I could win that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that every group that I've done, especially recently, has had some kind of gift card, something.
Yeah.
Yeah. To get them there early. And you're right, because, you only have so much time. So you don't want to spend that first 20, 30 minutes having people fill out questionnaires.
Right.
Yeah. When you really should be learning as much as you can about your case. So we talked about Facebook, Meta, Craigslist, Snapchat, any other tools, anything else?
The other thing you can actually do is hire a recruiter.
Yeah.
And that is an option. It's a more expensive option. But when you hire a recruiter, the thing is that they are the ones making sure we're getting we're getting that jury pool that's diverse.
Yeah.
They're making sure they're the ones handling all the logistics for you. And that's partially what my office is offering, is being that recruiter role.
Yeah.
And so that you don't have to take the time and the effort to do that. It's set up. You concentrate on your focus group presentation while we're concentrating on getting you the right people in the room so that you can have results that you can actually learn something from.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. And what the added benefit and aspect about using Broadwing Legal and using you is that you're a trial lawyer and you try cases. So you're delivering a service to someone just like you.
Yeah.
Whereas I've hired those recruiting services before and they were very expensive, and but they do focus groups for major brands and McDonald's and companies like that, that are looking at different things. Whereas, sure, as trial lawyers, we consider people's feelings and how they view the world and things, but it's also very specific to a central theme or area that we're focused on.
Yeah. And when it comes to a jury pool, the thing about it is that you're going to get just a whole mishmash of people that are just answering the call to service.
Right.
And even if they don't want to be there, they're there. The nice thing about a focus group is they want to be there.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about that part.
Yeah.
But it's also really important to make sure that you are getting that variety or you're really doing a disservice.
Right. So let's talk about minimum from a practical perspective. What do you think the minimum time that you should reserve for the focus group?
2 hours at least.
Okay.
At least.
Ideally, maybe 3 or 4.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything over 4.
It's getting to be too much for them.
Yeah.
We only have so much brain energy as humans in a day anyways. And we're asking them to concentrate, You're asking them to take in new information, a lot of times on topics that they don't know anything about. And so, yeah, I think anything over 4 hours, you've pushed beyond the limit. I typically suggest 3 hours.
So at a 3-hour focus group, in-person focus group, what would you offer each participant to come?
So we do it on an hourly rate. So right now we feel like the best way to get across an economic border, you have to offer enough to get people that are making good money to want to come as well, because you need those people in the room as well. It's got to be at least $50 an hour.
Okay. So a 3-hour focus group, $150 per participant.
Per participant, yeah.
Roughly, how many people?
That can vary depending on what your goals are from your focus group. Typically, we will have somewhere between 7 to 12 people at a time. Any more, but when you're trying out like an opening statement, you're actually going to want more people there.
Right.
Because they're giving more personalized feedback rather than the group dynamic of having an open discussion.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah.
And in-person focus group versus online. I know there's been a debate over this, especially since COVID, since we've had to do a lot of online stuff. What do you think some of the pros and cons of in-person versus online?
So the nice thing about in-person is they can't be distracted by something else.
Right.
Family member, television, video game. We've seen this happen.
Yeah.
Or not even just paying attention because, they're like, all right, I'm here. Like, I'm up on the screen, whatever. So when we're doing Zoom, I find myself a lot more times prompting people, oh, so-and-so, we haven't heard from you yet.
Yep.
Can you tell me what your thoughts are?
Yep.
Whereas when you're in person, you're seeing they're just focused in the entire time because you're in a conference room. There's no TV to watch. There's no family to disturb you. You're just there.
Yeah.
And so I feel like a lot of times we get more focused participation in the in-person versus the online. But the beauty of the online is that you actually reduce your cost because you're not paying for a hotel room. You're not paying for snacks. You're not paying for like signage and everything else. And you're not having to travel with your time.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's really beneficial.
Yeah.
And you can get a lot of really good things from an online one. But you have to make sure that people play by the rules that you set out for them.
Right.
Turn off your phone. Be in a room by yourself. Have the camera on the entire time. Have the microphone on the entire time, unless we mute you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't pay people until it's done, right?
Till the end. Yeah. If they drop out early, you're not getting paid.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I was pleasantly surprised with that focus group, with the online one. I was, because I was a little worried about a lot of the same things. But you did an excellent job bringing them into the fold when they weren't participating.
Yeah.
Or when their participation was limited. Yeah. So I thought that was great. And one of the things that having done quite a few of them, one of the things that I realized is that online focus groups are really good if you have a very specific issue or a very succinct question that you want to answer, something you really want to focus on. For ours, it was possible fault on our client. Mm-hmm. And that was like, we were laser focused on that. We really wanted that information. So
yeah,
I thought doing an online one was very helpful for that, because you can get right to the point.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say that's really unless you're doing a discovery focus group where you're trying to discover the issues, discover what you don't know, those ones that happen after discovery is over, if you can focus in on one issue and don't try to do liability and damages, or, liability on your client versus, this, that, and you can get it too complicated.
Yeah.
And then you're not getting enough information out of your focus group.
Yeah.
Because you're getting a little bit about this topic and a little bit about this topic and a little bit about this topic, and you're not able to really zone in on one of those issues.
Yeah. I'm a bottom line kind of person. I'm like, what's it going to cost?
Yeah.
Right? So, give me the total. What's the total price tag? So Just get to the point. But do you think that it's possible to do one of these online, let's say, for $2,000 to $3,000?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially like if you've got a 3-hour focus group with 10 people,
Yeah.
that's $1,500.
Right.
So you've got another $500 to $1,500 to play with at that point in time.
Yeah.
Your Zoom you can get it for under $20 a month.
Yeah. For the plan.
For the plan. Yeah.
Or there's free Zoom too.
Or there's free Zoom.
Yeah.
You can set up Google Docs to send them the questionnaires. That's all free. What you're doing is you're exchanging money for your time.
Right.
So you're putting more time into it, but at the same time, it can help you save money, especially where we are now, where we have we have like a background questionnaire that we use every single time. We have a confidentiality form. But then when it comes to the different cases, we can go in and tweak,
right,
based on what we have done in the past.
Right. And you can always, to your point, you've kind of taught your paralegal, how to do this. So if you're a solo and you've got a paralegal and a legal assistant, or even just a legal assistant, or even a law clerk possibly, you can show them how to do it. So it's not the attorney necessarily having to spend all that time. Yeah. And ultimately, saving your client money. Yeah. At the end of the day, especially if you've got, the case that Chase and I tried back in October, it was a $17,000 verdict. That's what it was worth. Yeah. But they offered us like $6,000, so a case like that, soft tissue case, $20,000, these little focus groups can really help you. Yeah.
And you're going to get, especially in some of the, like, if you look at the jury you're going to get in Indianapolis versus a jury you're going to get like in Seymour or in like Winnemac or something, these smaller towns, you're going to be presenting them very differently. Because this is a different way of life, a different way of thinking about things, a different view on the value of money. Yeah. And so it's really important to help you not just fall into your old habits of, this is how I always present this type of case.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are some tips that you would offer a moderator to help keep the discussion on track and productive?
So think about when you're going to put in the breaks for them, because they will need breaks. Yeah. And when you do, use the break times as like a pivot time. We've finished this section, break. Let's go on to this next section. Yeah. And that also helps keep you on track time-wise, because you go, okay, I know people's attention span really is going to start waning after about an hour. Then I've got 45 to 50 minutes to get this section of my focus group done. Yeah. And then I got to pivot. Right. And that seems to be a really good way. So when I approach them myself, I'm thinking about those, like what we're going to do at each break. Like, where do I need to be? And sometimes you'll go a little long, and that happens, and you have to adjust and compress other sections. But make your biggest concerns your first thing. Right. And then use that break time to adjust. So you might be taken down a path you weren't expecting with your focus group, and you can take that break time to adjust and then focus in on something else.
Yeah. The from a practical perspective, some of the things that I've seen is, one of the things that we did on our online group was I didn't put my name on there. Right. Yeah.
So it's always the attorneys can really do it two ways that have hired me. And if I'm the one facilitating it, they're not the one facilitating it, is they can come on and be my support staff. Yep. And I usually have one as tech support and one as just focus group support. So helping them navigate things. And that's their role. And they're blank on the screen, and we have you change your name to be that. Yeah. And then I'll play a little stupid if I and it's also a good way, like if I don't know a fact, I can get the fact from the attorney, or we're recording it no matter what. The other option is let me do it. I'll record it and I'll send you all the recordings. Right.
So once the focus group is completed, Okay, let's talk a little bit about the work on the tail end. What are some of the things you do? I mean, because we've got data, you've got information. How do you make it palatable for someone and useful?
Yeah. So I mean, if you're doing a 3-hour focus group, you've got 3 hours of material.
Yeah.
And I do not claim to be a jury consultant. I do not have that kind of training. I'm a lawyer.
Yeah.
And so I always look at things through my lawyer eyes and not through a jury consultant's eyes. So if you really feel like you need to have a jury consultant involved on the case, you're going to have to pay for their expertise. So you're not getting from me an analysis of these are words and phrases that you should be avoiding. This is like this, and getting that depth down of like, this is your ideal juror type of analysis. But I'm going to give you transcripts.
Yeah.
I just run them through AI. So they're not going to be perfect. You're going to get all the video recordings of everything. You're going to get all the questionnaires so that you can go through them and glean the information that you feel is important, because you're just as good of a position to do it as I am.
Yeah.
And then, the other thing, I think that now that we're seeing AI develop, get into a closed AI system that you can put your client's information into, put the transcripts in there and have AI tell you what are the things that were being found to be important, what were the things that weren't important, what are the things we need to follow up on, because it will do it in a snap. It's so great. Or like, this is where I get really techie nerdy, is I'm actually in the process of building my own personal closed AI system that's not even connected to the internet.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So that I'm not worrying about the confidentiality side of my client's information
Being out there.
Yeah. But there are some really great closed AI programs. I always talk about Claude.
Yeah.
Claude.ai. It's fantastic. Courts have been using it as well. And so that's always a really great one.
What is Claude doing how does that help you?
So the way Claude can read 1,000 pages of materials in 2 minutes and distill what the highlights are, what the it can go through all of the unnecessary or the irrelevant stuff and really get at the heart of the matter super quick, and it'll bullet point it out for you.
Right. So then it makes your job a lot easier.
It's so much easier.
Yeah. To be able to, and that data, what I do love about focus groups is we as lawyers, we can see similar types of cases and situations and issues. And so we can use that later on down the road.
Right.
Yeah. In other cases. So.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I've done one focus group where I haven't learned something that has improved me as a lawyer for my future cases.
Yeah. That's awesome. So if someone has a tight budget, that soft tissue case, and only one chance to do this type of focus group, what is the one thing that they must get right?
Oh, if you are on a tight budget and the thing I would say get right is get it done sooner rather than later. Don't be stuck with your evidence that you have.
I see.
Because when they tell you something that they want more information on and you don't have the chance to get it, oh my gosh, it breaks my heart, because then you're like, okay, now I have to figure out how to shift my story or shift my presentation for what I have versus what I could have had.
Right. I've talked to some people who, some trial lawyers who talk about focus grouping your friends, focus grouping your family and stuff like that. What are some of let's just set aside the clear bias. Obviously, that's a bad one, because then I think that bias leads to all these other issues.
Oh, yeah.
Getting truthful responses, really. What do you think are some of the issues associated with doing it that way, neighbors, friends, families, versus this method?
Yeah.
Strangers.
If they know you, they want to please you.
Yes. Yeah.
They want, and especially, they want to work with you and help you because it comes from a place of respect for who you are.
Right.
And it's just not the way to do these at all. You really do need to be in front of strangers, and not only just in front of strangers, but strangers that don't know what side you represent.
Yes. Because
Don't
that's
let them know.
Same concept applies.
Same concept applies.
If they know
If
who
they
to represent.
Yeah, because if they know you're the plaintiff's attorney, then they're going to come in and say, oh, yeah, this is a great case for the plaintiff.
Give me my $150.
Yeah. You're doing a great job. You got it all down.
Yeah.
It's almost better if they think you're the opposite side.
Yes.
They think you're that defense attorney.
Yeah.
And then, because then they're trying to help out the defense. And then all of a sudden you're learning, oh, okay, these are all the defenses on there, you know? And it's also like, if anybody follows Sorry Limontes, voir dire and building the tribe, she's very much so that way. You know, you got to find out what they think about the defenses.
Yeah. Yeah. You want all the bad stuff.
You want to know all the bad stuff, because in that bad stuff, you're going to also find the golden nuggets.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it's like jury selection. And I mean, you know, I was talking to Katie Karras at the office about it the other day. You want all those bad things that you hear about in the focus groups and all the bad things about your case. You want that to come out during jury selection.
Yeah. I mean, how much better is it to go into trial and not be surprised by a defense?
Right.
Isn't that, I mean, that's the best. Oh, I saw that coming. I'm already prepared for that.
Yeah. Make
the defense pivot mid-trial, not you.
Exactly. Yeah. And when you're the one that's talking about it, it lends more credibility to your client.
Right.
You know, because you're the one that's being honest and forthright with them about whatever that issue is.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And that's also a really good point, because then you can go back to your client and say, this is what we're hearing and this is what we need to address. And you'll be surprised about what some people think are important and what some people don't think are important. And then that also helps you figure out who's your ideal juror.
Yeah.
What questions are you going to be asking of that jury pool to find the people that you need to go into your tribe? Yeah.
Yeah. So, Kate, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. It's always a pleasure to see you. If people want to connect with you, especially lawyers that are listening, you know, that maybe have a trial coming up, criminal or civil case.
Yeah.
How can they do that? How can they get a hold of you?
So the best way is through our office phone number at broadwinglegal.com. You can see me as a lawyer on that website. If you want to get more of an idea of how we do focus groups, the website is indianafocusgroup.com.
Oh, okay.
And that's usually a big tool in how we actually recruit people.
It is.
It is. And I'll tell you, it's under $300 a year.
Oh my
to have the website.
Yeah. Do you have like a form submission page on there?
Absolutely.
So a lawyer can go to indianafocusgroup.com and say, hey, Kate, I've got a...
No, come to the Broadwing Legal website for that, because the indianafocusgroup.com is solely for recruiting focus group people.
Oh, it's the recruitment website.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone, for listening to Circle City Conversations. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on more future conversations.